Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, we did a video on the origins of the world famous woolly bugger fly. In fact, there's probably a link here or a link down below, or maybe we'll just play a little bit of it here. And we wanted to do a follow-up because it turns out I may have been given some wrong information, or I might have just made it up. I'm not sure. And we wanted to tell the rest of the story, or you could say the real story, about the woolly bugger. And of course, the woolly bugger is probably the world's most famous fly. And the truth of it is, it was not invented by a Eurasian prince. In fact, the woolly bugger really only dates back to 1967 or so. Some accounts have it at 1967, some in the early 1970s. And it was credited to by a Pennsylvania fly tyer by the name of Russell Blessing. And again, 1967, early 1970s, there's varying accounts, but he originally created the woolly bugger, and I do believe that it was the brown color. He originally created to imitate a Dobson fly larva, which is also known as a hellgrammite. But although Russell Blessing is credited, it is still kind of unclear as to exactly how this fly came about, but there's no question it was an evolution from the famous woolly worm fly, which itself is a variation, intentional or not, of the British palmer fly, which goes way, way back to, say, Isaac Walton times, the palmer fly. So then the woolly worm came about, which was wildly popular, you know, for years and years and years. In fact, one of the first flies I caught a trout on was a woolly worm, a place called Bennett Springs State Park in Missouri. But then, of course, the woolly bugger is such an iconic fly. A woolly bugger is a must-have in your fly box. As everybody knows, we've told you that Lefty Cray suggested this as one of the top flies you should always have. There's a video right there where we talk about that list of top 5 flies. But the original woolly bugger, as it is, a marabou tail, sometimes some flash, you have a chenille body, and you have a saddle hackle that's palmered forward. That's the original version. Brown, you should always have a black, olive, just a variety of colors. But these days, there's woolly buggers in just all kinds of flavors. You know, this is a crystal bugger. Replace some crystal chenille with the standard chenille and of course a bead head on it. You can put a cone head on it to add some weight. Here's a sculpin bugger, and that uses the Flyman Fishing Company sculpin heads to create a sculpin version of a woolly bugger. Here's one called a thin mint. It's just a specific color of a bead head. Here is a peacock and grizzly. That's a great color. It's a great smallmouth fly. Here's one called the Strawberry Blonde. Has a red bead, variegated chenille. That's one of our top selling flies here in the shop, is the Strawberry Blonde. Of course, Kelly Gallup has his variation on the woolly bugger. This is called a warbird. And Kelly basically took a woolly bugger, put some rubber legs on it, and bought a book. It's a Gallup fly. Great hellgrammite pattern. Great nymph for bouncing the bottom. Here's a variation called the Tequili. This is a world famous smallmouth bass fly, largemouth bass fly. Just a woolly bugger on steroids. They might have gotten a little too close to Chernobyl, that thing is. And then they also are making jig buggers too. This is tied on a jig hook with a tungsten bead. This thing is gonna get down and give you this up and down jigging action based on that jig hook. So it just unbelievable variations on the woolly bugger, and it's a fly that you must have in your box. In fact, if I had to pick one fly to fish for the rest of my life, it would probably be a woolly bugger, at least in fresh water. In fact, there's a story from about 91, 92. I made a trip out to Yellowstone National Park, spent about 2 weeks, and I only fished woolly buggers, black woolly buggers, the entire trip. And it was my best year ever. I caught more fish than I ever had. So kind of a lesson to be learned there. So there you go, friends. Thanks to Russell Blessing we'll just go ahead and say 1967, since it was, I think, the summer of love. And Pennsylvania Fly Tire gets official credit for the Woolly Bugger, not the Eurasian Prince, as was previously reported here on the YouTube. So we're always trying to give you the facts here. As always, we appreciate you being here. You can check out the link down below me. That'll take you to the entire category of woolly buggers at Mad River Outfitters. Of course, we'd appreciate an order. We rely on your support to make these videos. So as always, subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that. Hit the like button. That makes us feel good. And stay tuned. We've got a lot more fly fishing content coming your way.